All right, everybody, we're starting in 3 minutes and 23 seconds. The countdown timer has begun. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Someone's asking about making it full screen. It should be full screen now that we've actually begun the stream. Now, if you guys are watching the replay, just fast forward it to when the timer ends, and that's when it kicks off. So for the rest of you, good to see you. Thank you, Tracy. Can hear me? Lots of regulars in the house. Good to see you. Alistair, Rolf, Andrew, Susan, Klaus, Tom, Larry, Rael, Oddgear, Stuart Braithwaite, Rolf, Hannah, Susan, Klaus, Tom, Misty, Rolf, Tracy, Bernie, Philip, Greg. All right. Daryl, Oddgear. If I said your name twice, don't worry. Rod Shelley, good to see you. So everybody there, all regulars by the looks of it. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. We're going to be going live. Once again, if you're watching the replay and you don't want to hear the shout-outs, just fast forward because you can see we've got 2 minutes. Fast forward at 2 minutes and it will kick off. And I just sent out the social media stuff. So if you guys have social media, send it out there. Just send it out. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Let people know we're going live in 2 minutes. And this is the link. You guys see the link right there? My volume is very low. Does anyone else hear me at a low volume, or is it normal for everybody else? Let me know. Let's just make sure, because I want to make sure it's everybody, Fred, and not you. Yep, low volume, everybody. But I sound okay to Russ. Let's have a look. What can I do here? Mic volume is, yeah, it's all the way up, guys. So it is low. Let me just click in here. What can I do with the volume? This is why we start a little bit early. I selected the mic. I don't think there's much else I can do. It's showing the levels at a reasonable amount of levels right now. So if you guys, it's normal, volume's fine. Okay, so just turn up your volume if you don't mind a little bit, if it's still low. And hopefully that'll be fine. 48 seconds. Yeah, don't worry, we're not going to be suddenly going louder. Yep, so sorry, John, I can't. The volume is all the way up that I can turn up here, and I'm looking at the meter. It's, you know, I can't adjust it here, so it's as good as I can get it. Sorry, guys. All right, 28 seconds to go. The mic's right by my face, Betty, but thank you for definitely a good. Yeah, just turn up the volume on your guys' end. All right, so here we go. 11 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here we go. All right, here we are, live from lockdown, and we are episode number 73. I like Joey's idea. Hook it up to Marshall amp. That'd be awesome. Plug in an axe and start shredding. Maybe we should do that some week and just jam. Any of you guys musicians, girls musicians, let me know in the chat there if you're a musician. What do you play? All right, so what we're doing here is we are at LFL episode number 73. This is the 73rd week we've been doing this. I guess you could say we're pretty seasoned by now, and a lot of regulars. In fact, most of you here right now are regulars. Barely missed any. A lot of people haven't missed any weeks, and some people might have just missed one or two. For those of you who can't and you're watching by the replay, you are welcome just as much. You're part of the cafe crew as much as the live crew. I understand. For times, you know, we tried to set 1 p.m. at a time where it would kind of work at different time zones around the world. But quick announcement, next week, guys, just to let you know, because I've got a shoot tomorrow afternoon, not tomorrow afternoon, next week, Thursday afternoon. We're going to be going at 11 a.m. Pacific time, so it's going to be 2 hours earlier than normal. So please write that down, put that into your calendar, let everybody know, so you don't show up late. If you do, then the replay will be there, but if you can make it live, of course, that's great. So good to see you all. Bruce is not here this week. He's actually traveling at the moment. So you've got me. You're stuck with me. So get those drink orders in, and I probably will not fulfill them because I'm busy. I'm going to be busy teaching here. All right, so one of the things I asked you guys about a while ago was Boris FX optics. We did some stuff with this, and it was a very popular stream. And I asked if you would be interested in us doing more, and you are. Of course, this is all based in Photoshop. We're just going to be using it as a plugin. So one of the things that you may or may not know, check out my tutorial that I dropped this last Tuesday. We were talking about features going away from Photoshop. One of those features that I love and I use a lot is the lighting effects filter. It hasn't really been working properly for the last year or two, but occasionally you get lucky and it works. I've done some tutorials on it. You guys really enjoyed what we could do. Obviously 3D and all that's going away. Just go to my YouTube channel and click on last Tuesday, just 2 days ago. Check out that video after this, and I'll give you a full explanation of everything that's going on and why. But to kind of work into that theme, I've kind of figured out we can do what we can do in lighting effects inside this plugin that we're going to be looking at today, Boris FX Optics. The plugin's called Optics. It's by Boris FX. And we're going to be looking at some different things. So why don't I just go to the screen right now so we can see this. And Tracy's on the bar, so Tracy will take your drink orders. All right, so the guys were actually very generous. Before I kick off, I'm just going to let you know, they said, yes, please do another live stream, and we want to give you a discount. And I was expecting the 25% discount that they usually do, but they got crazy on us this week. They decided to do a 50% discount. Who am I to argue? So that's the URL you're going to go to. Let me post that in there so you guys get it in the chat. Let me see if I can do that. There's the whole message and everything is probably too much. Yeah, hang on. Let me get that to you. I'm just editing this right now so I can post this. And of course, it's in the description. And there we go. So there's the code. There's the link and the code. The code is PSCAFE-September 50, and that will give you 50% off either the annual subscription or the perpetual, where you just buy it. The only thing this doesn't include is the monthly subscription plan. So if you go on that discount won't work. So that's a great deal, and I'll let you guys know about that again at the end, but I just figured we'd start off with that. So yes, we are paying for it. It's not very expensive, particularly for the the value we're going to get out of this. Hi from an Irvine parking lot. Well, hey Greg, I wonder if you're at the parking lot outside. I'm in Irvine right now. All right, so why don't we jump in and look at a couple of things. I've got some different examples and some things we're going to do here with the lighting effects. The first thing I thought that we're going to do, and we've got a bunch of cool ones, things I'm going to show you, but let's just kick off right now with just relighting a scene. So here's a Photoshop thing I made. It's just a JPEG right now, but I built it in 3D, actually in Maya, and then composited it together into a background. I photographed the background, so this is a photograph with 3D models. So why don't we go in and just start with relighting. This is a good place to just kind of kick off. There's a lot of different things we're going to cover today, but let's do that. So we're going to go under the filter, and then you're going to go under Boris FX and choose Optics. Now you can download a free trial, by the way, guys, if you've got problems with that. Let me see if I can get this working actually on the screen we're working on. There we go. Let me just drag that out. I'm working on multiple monitors. As you guys know, you've seen my setup. I showed it last week. If you haven't, check out last week's live stream. All right, so I'm just going to hit the reset button. And this is just going to reset everything. So this is our photo. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with optics, you can download a free trial too. So you can, you can try it out. And I think it works for like 30 days. But I would definitely take advantage of that offer. All right, so what we're doing, and don't worry, I'm not going to be selling you this. What I'm simply doing is just showing you some tutorials and some different things we can do. For those of you who are not familiar, it's a plugin that has some amazing lighting and rendering effects, but also color grading. Let me just quickly do an overview. So we've got color correct here. We can go in, there's color correction and stuff, literally from different movies, TV shows, Optics is actually Emmy Award winning, and they use it in a lot of TV shows and stuff like that. It actually comes from Sapphire FX, made by the same company, but right now it's working as a Photoshop plugin. All right, so we've got, these kinds of things. There's tons of different things, diffusions, blurs. There's film labs if you want to get, just different filmic looks. So if you're just looking, for a way to add some, quick kind of film looks, or even imitate different film stocks, coloring looks, I actually kind of like that one. We've got all that kind of stuff. Then there's overlays, all kinds of stuff. Filters. Then we've got lens effects that we can do. We've got light effects, which is what we're really going to focus on today. We've got rendering things. We can create muzzle flashes from guns and all kinds of fun stuff. We can stylize and, create customs. And, of course, we can save things that we like into our favorites. One of the ones I happen to like is the minority effect. Although, I'm really liking that one there right now. That's kind of nice. And if you wonder what effect is being used, you can see up here. It's a flashing. Okay, great. So that will just kind of help you. And I believe that's under Film Lab or something. Yeah, there we go. Film Lab flashing. So it will give the name. You can add your own name in here. Now, when you're applying an effect, and we can stack these effects, which is what we're going to be doing in a moment, you can turn them off by turning off the little lightning, and that will turn off the individual effects. We can choose this option here, which means this is the one we're editing, and of course, we can just turn it off. So there's the original. If I click on the original, you will see whatever layer I click on will show that and the layers underneath. All right, so I kind of like that as an effect, so why don't we just create a new layer? I'm going to click on Add Layer. All right, let's go in and let's look at some of the lighting. Because one of the things I did mention, and let me just click the little lightning so we can see there's the original image, see how we can turn it on and off, even if we're not on it. Let's work on a top layer, and let's look at some lighting. So I want to do something that maybe works a little bit like our beloved lighting effects, which we're about to lose, unfortunately. Let me pop myself here in the corner. If I get in the way, I can probably shrink myself down. There we go. There we go. So I'll pop myself in the corner there. Hey everyone, just so you can watch me drink my water and pick my nose and all the other things I do. All right, so so there's different things we can do here with the lighting. We've got the key light, which is an interesting one. We can change that for parallel point light. If you remember, when I created with the lighting effects, we created that little bit of texture. You can do that in here. If you scroll, you can see all the different light options. We've got lens flares, which clearly we're going to be working on. We've got Aurora. Let me go here under Render. All the different things we can do. Lens, Image. Let's go under the, we can do day for night. There's a lot of different things we can do. Let's go down here. And I'm looking for light. Okay, so we can do some different things. So if we turn on the ambient light, we can see what it's doing is it's just adding light into this image, or it's enhancing the light. Now we can also go in and we can choose the option here to hit parameters. And then under parameters, we can change things like brightness, color. So if you want to put a color tint over it, like literally like it was a colored light, we can do that. And this is kind of fun. So this, simulates, putting a gel really on the light. We can go in here, we can create custom gels. There's different ones that are in there, as you can see already. So you don't have to select them. There's presets. One of the things that I love about this is just the amount of presets that are in there. All right, so we've got these. Let me just scroll down here and let's get some lens flares going, because this is what we really want to do. This is where we have the fun. So there's a bunch of lens flare presets in here. So if you've ever applied lens flares inside of Photoshop, you'll know that we're kind of limited. So let's see what we've got. We can click on all these different types of lens flares. Look at this. And the nice thing about it is, rather than just using an overlay, we can put them where we want them to come. So if we wanted to come it through this little hole here, or maybe up the top there, you know, like the lights coming in from the top, we can reposition these. Now, the nice thing is when we do that, when we choose the different types of lens flares, it's going to remember the positioning that we did. So I'm just clicking through a bunch of them so we can see, look at this. To me, this is worth the price of admission alone. Just creating these flares, and just so much more realistic than the 1990s lens flare from Photoshop, which, you know, you use it, it's great, but it's very limited. And of course, when you use it, everybody knows, oh, hey, it looks a little bit like that. Oh, it's the lens flare from Photoshop. Oh, great, wonderful. I guess, you know, it's like using very popular stock photos, especially back in the day when we had less stock photos. So there we go. So remember, guys, this is 50% off its usual price. So anyway, I can move this around. And here's the other thing that we can do is we can go into parameters. And then when we're in parameters, we've got all these different types of parameters. So we can change the width, make it a smaller, more subtle flare. You can make it bigger. We can change, you know, literally the shape of it. So this is more than just, you know, hey, let me just scale it up or down. We can change the color of it. So if we want to get something a little more blue, or maybe go a little more orange, kind of click in there and see how we can get the color of that flare. You know, the gamma, of course, is going to change this, you know, a little bit differently than the brightness. We can change the saturation. We can make it very saturated or unsaturated. But notice as we desaturate it, it mimics real flare. So it's desaturating the center, but we've still got the colors coming out the edges there. You know, we can rotate it. It's basically endless what you can do with this. You make those rays thicker, you know, start to get those guard rays, make them thinner, you know, as you can see here. And this other will get the actual flares coming off. So as you can see, we can change a lot of stuff. If we want to change the color of that to, you know, it's not going to make sense to make it blue, but let's just do it so you can see. So maybe there's a sheet of colored glass or something in the middle there. We can do that. And this is the other I'm working on. Notice it's not changing the flare, or the actual source is changing the flares that come off. We can change the background brightness. We can make it darker. So, you know, if you wanted to make the flares really bright and it darkens everything out, we can change the way that it combines. And we can even go into flare only, and it just shows the flare. Now, why would I want to go to flare only? Well, let me show you. So if I go to flare only, and I'm going to click the done, this is going to apply it. What it's doing is it's giving us a flare. So check this out. If you want to build your own library of lens flares, and this is something that's really good for this, is I'll go into the libraries and then just click and create new library, which I did, and I called it flares. You can just grab these, drag them in, and you can save them. So let me undo this. So there we are, back to the image. I've saved that flare only. And let's go back to the filter, and one of the nice things about this is it's going to remember the settings. So give it a second to come in. Remember, we set this to flare only. We don't want to do that. Let's combine it. Let's use it as screen. And we can continue to edit this. So I want to take these others down because I was just kind of showing you that. And I want to make the brightness a little bit more. Let's play around with that. Notice what the brightness does, by the way. The brightness will just blow everything out. It's kind of cool. But the gamma, on the other hand, kind of works with contrast. So it's not just brightening everything. It's literally, see what we can do there? We can change the gamma of it, and it has a different kind of an effect. Let's go all the way up there where it's coming out of there. In fact, why don't we make it come out of this hole there? So now it's coming out of the center of the photo. As you can see, let me do something here with the rotation. Let's rotate it a little bit. And of course, you can drag on the other point here, and you can drag the flare away. Notice how we change the direction that that flare is coming from. We get a lot of control over a lot of these different parameters just by simply clicking on them. Grab the little arrow here. We can change the shape of it. See that? So we can do this on screen. So this is giving us a lot more control than we would get just by simply, you know, overlaying something. And then when we're ready and we like it, we want to apply it, click OK, and we apply it. So the nice thing about this is that if we're working on our own images and we start to create our own library of flares like we have, let me show you here. If I wanted to do the one we just did, let's drag it into the image. Out of the library, that is. Holding down the Shift key. So you can build this library. You don't even have to have Boris FX running or even on your computer to use these. And then we change this to something like a screen mode. There we go. And you can start to literally add your own flares. Because I did this one in the center, you know, on the edge, you'll have to kind of make it work like that. However, you know, if I did another one like here, that we did earlier, well, I did earlier, I'll make a couple for you now. I can change this into screen mode, pop that up in there, and now we've got some sun coming through. So this is great for, you know, compositing or different things, or you know, you want to put glints on the car, but I kind of like it for creating sun flares, different things like that. So let me show you how to create your own. We're going to choose File, New, and I'll just do a 2000 by 2000. You can set your size to whatever you want. Click Create. Now we've just got a black box here. And so what we're going to do with this black box is we are going to choose Filter. We're going to go down to the Boris FX Optics. And then right after this, we'll jump into some other things. Let's reset everything. And let's go to our lens flares. There's an anamorphic. That's kind of cool. Let's scroll down and find something just completely different. That's kind of neat. And notice how that flare, you get that reflection like you would on a real flare. It's very kind of an anamorphic effect there. J.J. Abrams would be very proud. All right, so we've got that, and we can just click OK. Let's apply that. Let's open up our library. And then all you need to do is just go from the thumbnail or from the image, just drag that into the library, and it will create that. Now that library will sync with your Creative Cloud. So that means, you know, when you're working in other applications or you log into Creative Cloud on a different computer, you're going to have access to these lens flares. They're always going to be there. So let's go to this, turn that off, and say you wanted the anamorphic, just drag it in. The key, of course, to hide the black is you change the blend mode into something under the lighten or the screen. You know, play around with those and see which one works the best for you. So we could go in there, we could drop that. Let's make it larger, Control T, and just drag it out, make it much bigger. And, you know, you can make it fit. Now, I wouldn't worry too much about scaling the flares a lot. Generally speaking, you know, I tell people, hey, don't, you know, increase these too much, because if you do, you're going to lose quality. But for something like a flare, there's not really any sharp detail, so you can get away with scaling these up and down a certain amount without having any adverse effects. And you can see here we can add that anamorphic just like that. So build your own library. That's something else we can do. Let's look at something here I thought was kind of fun. So what I'm going to do is, this is a Pegasus kind of composite I did for Adobe Live at some point. So I just want to create a layer. Let's turn off my signature. And I just want to just put everything into one layer. I could do it as a smart filter if I wanted, but sometimes I'll just do it this way. So what I did is I held down the Shift, Alt, Command, E. And that would be Shift, Control, Alt, E on Windows. On Mac, it's Shift, Command, Option, E. So just all the modifiers, the three modifiers, and E for Merge G, and that will create a composite layer, Stamp Visible, which puts all the contents of all the layers onto a new layer without flattening it. And that enables me to go through and filter all the layers at once. Now you could select all the layers, right-click, choose Convert to Smart Object, and you could get a similar effect. But I want to have all the layers underneath in case I want to merge this with them and play around with the opacity or the blending mode. I like to create that Stamp Visible layer. All right, so hopefully that was interesting. All right, so let's go into, hey, Daphne, let's go in and choose filter. And we're going to go down here, Boris FX optics, and let's do something completely different. We want this to be an angelic kind of a thing, so we're just going to reset everything, hit that reset button. And then we've got some fun things like edge rays. I kind of like this. This is kind of neat. So if we look at the edge ray, and then I take this and I drag it up, notice how it changes. You know, it finds those edges and literally enables us to create these angelic kind of looking rays coming down. So I think that's kind of neat. Now, of course, we've got all the presets. You can go for this if you want something very kind of dark and evil and scary. Gold Soul, I mean, you know, there's a painterly effect. We've got different things like this, but I think I prefer some of the more, you know, this is kind of cool. Narcissism, I can see why they call it narcissism, because you put it on yourself and you're like, hey, look at me, I'm God. So there's different types here we can go through. Once again, these presets, you know, can be moved around. You can bring it up to the top here. You know, you've seen this on, you know, the movies, you know, it goes through like that. Creates those kind of neat effects. Can you animate it? If someone's about to ask that, you can't animate it here, but Sapphire FX, which is their video filter, yes, you can animate that. And these literally come from those animated filters, but they're designed for still images here in Photoshop. So we can, you know, do all these. Don't know if I like that. I do like that turquoise thing. All right. And once again, all of these, you know, we can change. I'm going to go back to the default. Well, maybe I don't like the default as much. I like this golden kind of, let's go through. The narcissism one, I like that one. Let's go up under here. And we can go into parameters, and once again, we have control over everything. So we can split the different color. The reds, notice that we can change the lengths of the different rays. I don't want to do that. Let's just go here. Maybe make the brightness a little bit more. So we're getting a little bit more of that. And you can see how now it starts to split the different colors as you change the lengths. So if you want more blue, make sure you pop the blue in there. And you'll see that. So if you want the kind of rainbow colored, let's take the greens down a little bit. Maybe the reds down just a tad. So this will actually create a aberration effect. If you want something interesting. And let's change the colors here. Golden. Let's go really golden. I don't know what it's going to do. See what it, well, maybe a little much. Let's tap on there again. Reduce the saturation just by clicking more towards the center. There we go. That's a little bit more believable. And we can see we've got these rays coming out. Now, let's go under the source here. See what I'm doing now is it's actually detecting the edges of our Pegasus. And so rather than being all the way over the top of everything, see what it's doing there? We can pull it down so it detects those edges and keep going. There we go. And now it's coming out a little bit more behind it. Oh, I went way too far there. Let's go here. There we go. So, you know, we can do that. Shimmer. What do we get for shimmer? Well, that's pretty neat. Now, the other thing we can do is we can apply masks. So if I want all of this coming out behind this Pegasus, let me go a little bit higher, but I don't want it over the top, we can create a mask. And we just click on the mask, and we have different types of masks. We could have an area where we just paint, where we don't want it to go, and we'll look at that in a second. But I'm going to use the easy mask. So what we're going to do with the easy mask is we're going to grab this paint foreground, and we're just going to paint on the area we want to keep, which is our horse. So we're telling it, hey, this is the foreground. We want to keep this. Now, we want to tell it this is the background. See the one with the pencil away from our object. Just going, hey, this is the background, guys. Now remember, you know, this was a layered file, but you know, I could have just dragged the Pegasus onto the top, I guess, if I wanted, but sometimes we can just do it this way using the mask. And now when we're ready to generate that mask, going over there a little bit is probably not a good idea. Let me erase that. You don't want to touch the areas because you'll confuse it. There we go. All right, so now we want to generate the mask. So we're going to go all the way across to the Generate Mask button. So what it's going to do is it's going to generate this mask. It's just going to take a little moment. You can do it. Get past 91%. That's a little more believable. It's a flying horse. Of course, it's very reasonable. And everybody, yes, do that. Hit that like button if you guys are liking any of this. So as you can see there, the mask is protecting our Pegasus, and you can see that the light rays are coming from behind it. You can see the mask right there. So let me just apply this so we can see it. Yeah, and if you guys are liking any of this, do me a favor, hit that like button. What it does is it helps us with the algorithm on YouTube and lets people know, hey, we're live. And the more people hitting that like button, it helps push it out and helps us with that. Now, I might have inverted this inadvertently. Okay, so let's go. How do we hide the mask's green and red lines? Well, if I didn't crash it, I will show you. There we go. Save the images, just cancel. All right, so what's happening is we're showing the mask. When I click on the image, it will hide that. But notice what's happening is it's going the opposite to what we want. So let's invert that mask. So we click the invert, and then when we click on the image, there we go. See, that's working nicely. It's showing our rays behind our object rather than on our object. So to show those masks, just click on the mask and it'll show all our working areas to answer that question. And then click on the image that will hide the mask and just show the result of it. All right, so let me click this to apply and see if it applies. Generally speaking, this is usually pretty good and works pretty stable. Now, I don't guarantee anything when I'm going live, because when I'm running the live streaming software, sometimes it conflicts with things. Plus, I'm on our favorite version of Mac, which is, you know, you guys know it's that, what is that new version of Mac called? Let me know. And that's sometimes not the best there. All right, so we've got it. Okay, here we go. It's rendering now. Someone gets the humor. Come on, people, let's get to 100. 100 is the likes, actually, is what they're referring to. All right, so here we go. So it's rendering, it's applying. It's going a little chuggy right now. Generally speaking, things run pretty quickly. There we go. Now it is applying. There we go. So there's our effect. Very, very strong effect on that layer, which is why sometimes I create, you know, on a separate layer, so I can play around with the opacity, and I can just allow just the right amount of rays to come through that I would like. There we go. Great. All right, so let's do something completely different. Now, you guys are familiar with, you know, doing the day for night effect. You know, I do this in Photoshop usually. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the image, and this is essentially, you know, the before and after. I'm going to take this. I'm going to hit Control J to make a copy of it. And let's look at some of the different things that we can do in optics as far as doing our day for night. No, generally speaking, I'll put a lot on there and I'll mask it out in Photoshop. But let's see what we can do here. We're going to choose the filter, and we're going to go to optics and give it a second here. And we're going to reset everything here. UK has the best humor. I do like British humor. I got to confess there. So that was just Andrew saying that. Not just Andrew, but you know what I mean. All right, so here we are, and we're in the current, and what we're going to do is let's look for the day for night. Now, just to let you know, I'm pretty good in here, but sometimes I have to hunt a little bit to find the, because there's so many options, so I'm not like in here 24/7. But let's try day for night, and let's try some different day for night effects. You know, here's some of the basic plugins. Let's go into the parameters here, and opacity is all the way up. Don't want that blur too much. I said put a little blur in. Oh, that's kind of neat. Okay, so let's take our brightness down. So we're just taking it down a little bit. Contrast. Let's play that gamma. Now, one of the things I might have done is darken that sky. Let's just go a little bit more into the blues. So what I'm doing is I'm just playing around and modifying our day for night. Now, what we might want to do if we wanted to make this look more like a night scene, well, let's go through and do some of this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a mask. And let's make it a paintable mask. Now, obviously, now that we've got this mask, everything's visible. So we're going to invert the mask. There we go. So it's inverted now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint. We've got some paint options. If we hover over here, this will tell us what we can do. In a blur, center, blur, blur. So we click on the mask here. And I want to paint. So here's our mask opacity, the mask blur. Here's our brush size, the brush softness, and opacity. All right, so I'm going to start with maybe a little bit bigger of a brush. And I'm just hitting that bracket key. Left bracket key makes it smaller. Right bracket key makes it bigger. And I'm just going to paint over the area where that light is. Great. And I'm just doing this at full strength because I want that to be a full light right there. There we go. And I'm just painting this. Let's go over the top a little bit. Cool. All right, so what we're doing here is we're just masking out that day for night filter. It's allowing that layer underneath to show through, which is giving us our light. Now, if you want to see what's going on, we can just quickly, we can hide this just by hitting that little magnifying glass and just look at it there. Magnifying glass, lightning bolt, or we can just click on the bottom, will show us so we can see what's going on. So if we click on the bottom, notice there's another light there. Let me go up here. Now, I've done this for you guys before. Let me make sure I'm on it. And if you have trouble seeing it like I am there, one of the things we could do is, I'm just going to undo that because I didn't like what was happening, is I could take the opacity down just a little bit so I can see a little bit better what's going on underneath. There we go. There's our light. So we want to paint that. Great. And maybe there's other areas that you want to light, like maybe some of these windows. I'm just going to go down there, just paint on that. All right, let's go back up to 100% opacity. And we can see, okay, there's our light. Now, I want to get a glow going. So we're going to paint on the same mask. We want to create a glow. So the way to do that is just make sure that we've got our brush. Maybe make it a little bit larger. We can see the size of the brush. And once again, use the bracket key. And what I'm going to do is drop the opacity down. I'm going to drop this down to about 14. Now, I don't know if this has pen pressure or not for a Wacom tablet. I don't think it does, but I'm just bringing that up in case someone asks. Now, we want to have a little glow around the light, so I'm just going to paint around it here. Same with that. Maybe that was a little large, but let's go over this a few times. And you can see we're getting a little bit of that glow around the light. Let's go around. Same with that. And so we're painting with that lower opacity. If you feel like, hey, you know, I want to do it a little bit faster, we can increase that opacity. Do the same thing, but it'll just kind of happen a little bit quicker. There we go. Let's create that glow around the light. Sweet. All right, so now we know that the light's going to hit the side of the building, so let's just go down the side of that building there. We're going to get a little illumination. Great. Maybe a little pull of light at the bottom. Same thing over here, and same thing there from that light. See how that light's starting to hit. A little bit on the wall. And I'm just painting the areas that I want to put light. See what we're doing here? Maybe glow around there a little bit, maybe someone on the street. And essentially, you know, this is what we're doing. All right, so we've got some grass that here. I call it grass, but it's a foliage. I'm just painting in here, letting a little bit of light just kind of fall on there because that's what would be happening. And we're just using the mask to, you know, add that little bit of light, put the mask at the bottom, and see what's going on here. And by the way, guys, if you're liking this, do me a favor, hit that like button. It helps us with the algorithm, as you guys know, because we could definitely use some more likes here. We've only got 87 likes right now. Let's get those likes to 100. Okay, so what we're doing is we're adding the light. See what we're doing here? Increasing that light effect. And you can paint this however you want it, you know, to make it look like there's light hitting, you know, certain areas. You know, you would do this. Yeah, just keep going, you know, maybe a little light hitting over here, a little catching there, a little bit catching there. You know, maybe I probably went overboard. Yeah, let me undo that. I got a little carried away. Let's put a little bit on there. So it's starting to get a little rim. You get the idea. So we're building the light. We're letting that light kind of spread out. And this is kind of making it look like we've got light. All right, so now we've done that. We need to light these lights because right now we've got some light going on. Maybe a little bit might just kind of go across the street just a bit. There we go. Maybe just a little bit down there. Like some stuff's just kind of happening. I'm going into my Bob Ross mode now. Let's just put a little depth in there with that. All right, so we've got some, yeah, there we go. Now it's starting to look a little more like some light. There we go. A little bit there. Yeah, should we do Bob Ross? You know, happy lights. Happy lights. There we go. Now we're starting to get some light. All right, so now we're doing this. We're converting all these lights and just painting them in where we want. All right, so let's create a new layer. And now I want to put some actual light on here. So we're going to do the light effects. And I think this is a great place where we could be using lens flares. Yeah, so let's grab this lens flare and let's take it to right where that bulb is. Bulbasaur. Any Pokemon fans there? All right, so we've got that lit up. Let's go into parameters, and one thing I want to do is make the color of that. Click on that color, and you can make the color much bigger if you want. If you're on Mac, Windows, I'm not sure what it looks like. It does something. Give it a little yellow. There we go. Now it's starting to match. If you feel like, you know, hey, it's a little bit big, we can scale it down just a little bit. We're just dropping that bit of light in there. See what we're doing? So see, we're literally lighting up that bulb. Sweet. All right, so what about the other bulb? How do we duplicate this? It's so easy to duplicate it. Let me show you. We're just going to grab a new layer. Boom. And what I'm going to do is I'm just literally going to take this layer and drag it into the duplicate layer. And that's just going to duplicate everything we've got. Now we can just take this little light and drag it down over here. How's that song go? This little light of mine. Okay, I won't sing. We're going to hit the parameters and let's make this light smaller. Smaller. You can also drag on it, of course, to change the size of it. And you can pop it in there. Now, if you like how it's going and you don't like the flares, if you remember the others, it was called others, we just take other brightness, just pull it down. I don't mind a little bit of flare going on there. I think it's kind of fun. I just don't want it going on that light as well. And you can see what we do here. Just click on the other lights. Maybe take that width down just a little bit smaller. Because all we're trying to do here is light that bulb. Now, I could zoom in. What I'm doing is I'm just using the scroll wheel. And then the space bar will enable me to move it. Great. And let's just position that. There we go. And then I use the scroll wheel on my mouse just to zoom back out. So if you need to zoom in and do stuff like that, you guys can do it. I think we're getting pretty good here. Now, of course, you can save all of these as presets if you want to use these again. And then all you need to do is just drag those lights into position. So I'm going to try something just, I don't know how this is going to look, but I'm going to go a little bit further with this. And this might be a terrible idea, but let's see if I can add a moon. Let's choose render, and we're going to choose lunar. All right, so let's drag the moon up here. Once again, I don't know if it's going to work, guys. I'm just saying, just trying it. Just trying it. Total eclipse. Wow, oh, that's interesting. Let me undo that, though. Probably don't want that. So we've got different types of moons here. Right now we're using the default moon. Let's go into parameters. And let's change the different things on the moon. So we're lunar date. I guess that sets the date of the moon, so it enables us to change it. Oh yeah, so you can literally set the year. Oh wow, so if you want the moon to look exactly how it would look at a certain time of the year and certain date, you can do that. That's kind of cool. Let's go into lunar, and we're just going to change the phase ourselves. Let's go for more of a full moon. There we go. There's a full moon. We can rotate it. I don't know what the moon looks like, so I'm probably doing something wrong. And the bumpiness if you want more texture or less texture. Let's drop a little contrast down there. There we go. Little brightness. You can change that. There we go. Let's make the sky color darker. I don't think much is going to happen here because I'm not really setting the sky in there. What I would do is probably pop a sky in there. Let me take that bumpiness down. It's too much. Let's give it a little glow as the moon tends to glow a little bit. Make that glow a little bigger. And as you can see here, we're doing that. Now, if you want to put a little color into that moon, let's grab a little bit of blue. Maybe too much. Notice a little bit of color here will go a long, long way. And it's kind of the same with any kind of 3D-ish kind of effect. All right, so we've added our moon. And as you can see, it needs a dragon. Looks like a Doctor Who set. I love Doctor Who. And yeah, and then you like it, you can just apply it. And, you know, so here we are literally building an entire scene. And wait for it. Boom, there it is. You know, if the moon is a little strong, which it is, you know, of course, we can mask it. We can do different things. So one of the things I might do myself, just manually, is let's grab that layer. And I'm going to grab this. Let's make a selection around there. And I'm just going to create a new layer, fill it with black. Control D will do that. Pop that in there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a mask. And then we're just going to paint this away. So this is the nice thing. We can always go back into Photoshop, use the Photoshop tools we know and love, which I'm definitely a lot more familiar with. And now I can start to just paint in. What am I doing here? I'm just slowly masking this away so we can start to see the black layer underneath come through. And this is going to give us a better sky. Now don't get too close to the edge. In fact, why don't I just control click? And then we can use that as a mask. And now we can just paint this away. Let's go for a large soft brush, soft round, hardness all the way down. Let's turn the opacity up, drop the flow down, make this brush bigger. There we go. Now I can start to paint this away and just kind of fade it a little bit. Of course, we will come back in a second and make the moon bright because it should be, but I'm just trying to blend it in a little bit. There we go. So I'm blending the sky and, you know, obviously the moon should not be black. All right, so now we just hit the X key, turn our flow and opacity all the way up, go to our moon with white and just paint. And then we can start to light up our moon and, you know, the sky around it. There we go. So I just wanted to glow just there. And you can see, you know, we can do that. Of course, we can just adjust the opacity as another option. You know, if you wanted to do that, you know, to lower the effect. But you get the general effect, Control D, and there we go. We've turned a day scene into a night scene. That's pretty fun. Let me just, I've got one more thing I want to show you, but let me just quickly throw this up here once again for you guys who've just joined us. The nice people over at Boris FX are giving you 50% off optics for the month of September. So just go to that link there, which I will paste into the chat. And I'm getting a little better at this, I think. It takes a little bit of getting used to. But there's the code. I just pasted it into the chat. Go to that link. Use that code. 50% off. Awesome. And I'll also put that. It's in the comments section. All right, let's continue. So as you can see there, we had a little bit of fun with that. We relit this scene. We created these god angelic rays. We did a day for night. There's a lot of different things. We created our own lens flares. Now, why don't we do something else? If you guys remember, we created this a couple of weeks ago at Live from Lockdown. And I went to use Boris FX, and I hadn't licensed it, so I just have done that now. And of course, as you can see, it's working. So why don't we go in here and just drop some light effects and some flares and some fun stuff on here. So what I'm going to do is just hold down those Command, Option, Shift, E. In other words, all the three modifiers and E. I'm creating that composite layer again, or stamp visible, and so we can work on this here. So we're going to go under Filter, and we're going to apply. How many of you guys have the Boris effects? I know a lot of you guys have optics already. And once again, another good reason to be showing you this, just to let you know, is that, as you know, lighting effects are disappearing from Photoshop. I'm not thrilled about that, but using optics, I can do everything that lighting effects did and more. So at least we've got something that we can use. All right, so let's go back to our desktop here, and we're going to go under Optics. And let's finish this. Now, if you want to know how I built this, as you see, the last filter will be applied. Looks trippy. Hit this button here. We'll reset it. Now, we built this from scratch. It was a photograph that I did, and as you can see, it's an Android. We put the little panel there, a little panel on her cheek. Let's have a look so you can see. So it was a photograph I took of Megan. Shot this with gels in my studio, aka my garage. And then we built this. So why don't we go in here and I'm just clicking there. That'll make it fit to the screen, by the way. Zoom to fit is what that button does. And let's play around. Let's have some fun. So let's go under the lens. We're going to try some lens flares in here. Some light effects. Let's go into light. And any questions, guys, just let me know, of course, and I'll be happy to do my best to answer that for you. Let's go under the lens flare. Boom. Okay, so we're going to add a lens flare. Of course, we're going to add a lens flare. Oh, that's kind of nice, the way that just lights and changes the color of everything. I'm just clicking through, looking for something I like. So generally, this is how I do it. I just click until something looks interesting. And then when it does, then I'll play around with it and say, okay, let's customize. So this is where she's pointing. She's hitting right there. We can go into the parameters. And do I need to make this, blur it more or less? Do we need to make it brighter? We can do that. Because this is already a very bright image, brightening that flare is probably a good idea. And we click, that will position it. Click on here, and that will enable us to change the shape of it. See that? And the size. So that's kind of fun. Let's create a layer on top, and let's do something else. Oh, what else have we got here? We've got a lot of fun things here. The glints can be fun. Let me just show you what these do. They create these kind of starry effects. Well, you can go just crazy with that. If you're trying to do the Minority Report kind of thing. We've got glints. As you can see, some of these are just going, quite strong. Now, here's the thing. If some of these are too strong, like, we're doing these and clearly they're too strong, the nice thing is that we can go under here and we can change the opacity of that layer. So you can just kind of blend them in. You can also change the blend mode. So if we want to go for, say, something like a lighten or a screen, it's just going to brighten the light parts of the image instead of the whole image. So let's just kind of build this in. Let's just build something. Let's go into parameters. As you can see here, we can also adjust that brightness. We can go in and you can change pretty much everything. You know, as you can see here, you can just change the brightness on the X or the Y axis. Lots of things. Let's change the size of that and make it a little smaller so we get these cool little kind of star things going in there. I think that's neat. Let's create a new layer. And with lighting effects just going away, just bought it. Thanks, Colin. You're welcome, William. I hope you enjoy it. I know I'm enjoying it. If I didn't think it was good, I would not be showing this to you. Let's go into here. I've got something I'm trying to find. Where are we? There's so many things in here. Sometimes it takes a moment to... So we've got all these, look at all these color effects we could be applying to this. It's crazy. You can spend a lot of time just, as you can imagine, just playing around. Oh, I know what's happening. I've got to scroll down. There's more. Look at all these. That's what I was looking for. Spotlight. All right, so we've got all of these. We've got the relighting options. Oh, boy. Yeah, there's so much we can do with this. Let me take the brightness down a little bit on the relighting. Maybe we'll look at a different image for that in a bit, but I just want to get that light in here. Let's take the brightness up just a bit. Blend mode, let's change it to screen. Notice it's only affecting those lighter areas. Let's drop it down just a little. There we go. And as you can see, we're kind of just building all this up. Hang on, let me just cancel this. I'll show you. There's the original. And there's all the stuff we've just been kind of building up. Just trying to make it interesting. Okay, I'm going to do something with our spotlight and our relighting just quickly to show you guys what else we can do here. Let me get in here and block this person. We will hide the user. Bye-bye. And we will delete these. This is what Bruce normally does. There we go. We got rid of them. Mainly compositing, but I do art and photography when you get the chance. Oh, that's good. Yeah, you could go completely nuts with this, Rod. You're right. Ozone. Tony Mueller's played around with ozone. He likes it. Okay, so let's see what we can do. I've got another image I want to show you. Let me file open. And let's just move this over here because who knows what's on it. And let me just grab an image that I've got ready for this. I got some other images I want to show you guys, but I'm not quite ready to share with you yet, which I will soon, but let's just open this one. Come on, come on, come on. You can do it. You can do it. Almost there. Okay, here we go. This is another shot from the shoot that I did with Megan. This is our steampunk shoot that we did, and I used two colored gels for this. So I didn't actually color this. These are the colors I shot it in. Shot that on my Sony A1. And I'm just creating another composite layer for us to play around with. And I just used two lights and put a pink gel over one, put a blue gel over the other one. All right, so let's go under filter. Dana, baked beans, egg and spam. All right. Bruce, we missed you. Oh, yeah. All right, so we're going to reset this. All right, so let's go ahead and do what I was going to show you guys under the light. If we scroll, see that normally in my normal screen resolution, all of this shows, but I dropped the resolution down for the live streams, so I didn't see everything. So we can do a relight, and this is clearly going to work better with, for photograph. There we go. So now we're using an image that, is not all bright already. So if we wanted to relight the scene, we could do that. And, you know, we have a couple of different options here. See what we're doing here as we're relighting this. We're changing the shape of that light. See that? So we can put hot spots in there that didn't exist. Look at this. So we're literally lighting the side of the face now. And we can go into the parameters. And this is the kind of thing that we used to do with lighting effects, but this does it better. Maybe put a little bit more of my... What happens if we put a yellow? I don't know what happens if we put some yellow. Let's see. Probably not going to show up too much against the other color. And of course it has built-in gels. You know, I don't need them because I already got my gel there. But see how we can change this, make it wider, changing the aspect ratio, the radius. So literally we are relighting this shot. We could invert it the other way. Change the fall off. And I'm going to take this brightness down just a little bit. There we go. So if we just look at the original here, and now I've just relit it with a light there, we can see, you know, we can do that. Now let's create another layer. And, you know, and of course you can add other relighting and relight the photo however you want. Make it darker, make it lighter, and literally relight it. That's why it's called relight. Okay, let's look at the spotlight. This is fun, and this is one that we used to use, or I used to use the lighting effects for a lot. Okay, so we've got, you know, there's different ones that we can choose here. I'm just going to go with the defaults. I'm not going to worry about all the presets. Let's just go and just do this manually with the parameters. So we've got a light, so we can choose two things. One is the light source. I want the light to come from this corner, or I want the light to come from this corner. Let's go from this corner. And then the second option is, okay, where do you want the light to go? So here's our light coming off this light source. It's the spotlight. So we're going down here. Now, if you want this to go closer to there, we can control that. See that? There's the Z. And it will simulate an actual light. You know, want to soften those edges a little bit more, we can do that. Turn the brightness down, we can. What I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to pull this back a little. There we go. So there we go. We've got some light coming down here. Now, if you wanted to put color in this light and I want to increase that blue, we can do that. There's a blue light. See that? Let's play around with the brightness. Nice. Okay, so if we want to put another light on the other side, what do? Well, notice there's light 1, light 2. So let's pop it open. Okay, let's enable light 2. Now, if you want to change the settings on there, what we do is we show that one, we turn those two off, and we see what that's doing is the controls. It's hiding the controls. And then we're going to show light 2. So that means now I can adjust it. And if I hit the other option here, I can also aim it. And this is how we aim the light. So look at this. We're adding another light in here. Let's take that off the side there. Let's bring it in. So now we've got 2 spotlights going on. And if I want to add more ambient color, you know, enhance the color that's there, I can do that. And so now we've added a couple of spotlights in there, see that? And maybe I want to change the on to, let's change this, make it more like that, pull it back. And then so if we look at there's the original, there it is with the relight, here it is with the spotlights and the relight. Now if I want to turn off the relight, just hit the little lightning. And we can see it's just the spotlights, but I do like just that little highlight there that gives us a little bit more dimension. So there's our original, and there it is with everything using the spotlight. So once again, guys, if you're liking this or getting any value out of this, do me a favor, hit that like button, and we've almost got as many likes now as we do live viewers. If you're watching the replay, don't worry about this, guys. So if you're seeing the live chat, if you're here between 1 and 2 p.m. Pacific time, which we're just about ready to finish, you are live. If you are not, and you're not seeing the live chat there, you're watching the replay. So drop your comments underneath in the comments section, and I'll respond to those. And replay crew, do me a favor, also hit that like button. And now everybody, whether you're live or watching the replay, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, And then you'll know when I go live and also when I upload new tutorials, which is every single week. All right, guys. So let's just click OK to apply this. And then I'm going to give you guys this code one more time. And then we're going to sign off. So, you know, this is using Boris FX optics. We've gone through a number of different things here. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. All the photographs here I used were mine, with the exception of that one street scene. Well, I guess it's not even there. The one of the street, you know, where I did day for night, that was a stock photo, but everything else was my own photos, or 3D. This was a composite. This I used stock for that one. This one here I used stock. And yeah, and all the rest of this stuff are my own photos. So anyway, guys, oh yeah, the code. That's what I was going to do. Shiny objects. Okay, so the guys at Boris FX are giving you 50% off optics. There's the link. There's the code. Expires October the 1st, and it's good for either just to buy it and own it outright, or for an annual subscription. This won't work for the monthly subscription. That's the only thing it won't work for. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Good to see you all. Next week, we're going to return. We'll do some Fix My Photos. So if you guys want me to look at your photos and work on your photos, go to fixmyphoto.net, upload up to 3 images each. Raw files are preferred, or whatever you've got. Put your name in the file name so I know it's you. I can give you a shout out and work on your photo. And also don't forget to go to our Facebook group, post some work, and I'll be sharing some of those next week as well. So don't forget, next week, instead of 1 p.m., it's going to be 11 a.m. Pacific time. So it's going to be 2 hours earlier than normal. So anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. It's been great to spend this hour with you all. I hope you enjoy it. And till next time, I'll see you at the cafe. And